Welcome. Today is Wednesday, December 2nd. Hopefully everybody is safe and happy and things are going well. This is a video for those individuals that are absent or need some additional assistance. We're going to start off today with a self-start. First question says, Rice Krispie Treat has 60 grams of sugar for 6 ounces. What is the COP of sugar per ounce? So remember, COP from yesterday was one of our vocabulary words. It's just like saying unit rate, so per one. So I'm looking for sugar per ounce. So the sugar is going to go first. So I'm going to do 60. The word per means to divide. Ounce was 6. So when I do 60 divided by 6, my answer is 10. So my COP is 10. Or you could say 10 grams of sugar per ounce. Second question, is this graph proportional? Why? Remember, there's two things that need to happen in order to be proportional. First one says it has to be a straight line. The second thing says it must go through the origin. So if I look at my graph, I do see a straight line, so check. Goes to the origin. Well, the origin is set at 0, 0. And when I look at it, it doesn't go through 0, 0. It doesn't go through the origin. So, is this graph proportional? No. Why? Because it doesn't go through the origin. And last question says solve for x. Now, for this question, a lot of people will try to figure out what needs to happen go from 33 to 77, or we also learned that we could do this. We multiply numbers that are diagonal, so we do 15 times 77. Then we divide by the remaining number, so divide by 33. And that is going to tell me what x equals. So when I do that, x equals 35. And there you go. There's your deep thought. You're welcome to pause and read if you haven't already done so. For information for the classroom, just a heads up, our first feedback on proportions is on Friday. It's the 4-question feedback. So it's not the long one, it's just the 4 questions. You need to be able to solve a proportion. You need to be able to identify a proportional graph and table, and use an equation to complete a table. So those are the important things for Friday's feedback. Also on Friday, it's our end of trimester 1 celebration. Classes are really short, so just come have some fun. Typically, what we do is we go to the movie theater down in Brigham City. However, with this whole weird year that's happening, we're just going to watch movies here in your advisory classes. So come and have some fun. We'll have some treats available and just have a good old time. If you're in my advisory, Roscoe's currently at 8, Courtney's at 19, Wyatt's at 25. I do want you guys to pay attention to this picture. There's something wrong with it. See if you can figure out what's wrong. Hopefully you guys said the way that second hour stacked their binders yesterday. So this right here is kind of chaotic looking. Let's not repeat that again. Remember, this is a privilege for you to be able to leave your stuff in my room. Let's kind of keep it organized so that way it's not so crazy. For today, we've reviewed the self-start. Today's lesson, we're going to be using equations to show proportionality. So first thing we're going to do is get an equation that looks like this. Y equals 10x. So a proportional equation will be set up like this, where the y will be on one side of the equal sign. You'll have a number right here, and then you'll have your x. That 10 and that x, remember, when there's nothing in between them, is just like multiplying. So all proportional equations will look similar to this, where the y will be on one side and the x will be on the other. So we need to plug in numbers into this equation to figure out x and y. So I'm just going to use some basic numbers like 0, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to substitute these numbers in when I see x. So instead of saying y equals 10x or 10 times x, I'm going to say y equals 10 times 0. Well, 10 times 0 is 0. Next one is y equals 10 times 1, which is 10. Then I'll do y equals 10 times 2, which is 20. Then last one, I'll do y equals 10 times 3. So all I did was substitute these numbers in where the x was. And when I do 10 times 3, I get an answer of 30. So we just used this equation to fill out our table. Okay, so then we have our next equation, y equals 10x plus 1. So I'm going to use the same numbers, 0, 1, 2, and 3 for my x. And we're going to substitute those numbers in for x again. So 10 times 0 is 0 plus 1. So 0 plus 1 gives me 1. 10 times 1 is 10. And then 10 plus 1 gives me 11. 10 times 2 is 20. Plus 1 is 21. 10 times 3 is 30. 30 plus 1 is 31. So notice what happened when we added that plus 1. All of a sudden, it kind of changed our y values. So why did this one work out so well? And why did this one not? It's because this one went through 0, 0. And this one didn't. It went through 0, 1. So this one is proportional because it goes through the origin. This one is not proportional because it doesn't go through 0, 0. It goes through 0, 1. So not all equations are proportional. Be aware of that. We don't always start at 0, 0. So what rule could we use to determine if an equation is proportional? Well, if I'm adding 1, or if I add anything, that's going to change it so it's not going through 0, 0. Or if I subtract anything, it's not going to go through 0, 0. So the rule of thumb for equations is if you're adding or subtracting anything, it is not proportional. So when I look at this first one, y equals 5x. Automatically, I can see I'm not adding or subtracting anything, so I know it's going to be proportional. So I'm going to put yes. So here's our x values. We're going to substitute those in for x. So y equals 5 times 0, which is 0. So automatically, I can see it's a 0, 0. Y equals 5 times 1, which is 5. Y equals 5 times 2, which is 10. And y equals 5 times 3, which is 15. So it goes through 0, 0. This is a proportional equation. When I graph it, I'm going to graph it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I could keep going if I want to. My y, I'm just going to use numbers that were over here because they are constant. So 0, 5, 10, and 15. And I'll even go up to 20. So 0, 0 is my first coordinate, 0, 0. My next coordinate is 1, 5, 1, 5. So over 1. There we go. My next coordinate is at 2, 10. So 2, 10. And the last one is 3, 15. 3, 15. So if it's proportional, what's my COP? Well, what does it increase by each line? Well, let's see. I've got 5, 10, 15. So it looks like it increases by 5. So my COP is going to be 5. This one right here, same thing, y equals 5x, but this time we're adding 1. So hopefully you've already looked at it and said, oh, wait a minute, it's adding, so it's not going to be proportional. No. Let's plug it in. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1, which is 16. So automatically, if I graph it, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I put 1, 2, I'll just count by ones this time. 5, 6, 7, 8. If I start graphing, it's going to be 0, 1, which is right there. 1, 6, which is right here. And then it would be 2, 11 if my graph was big enough, which would be up here. So my graph would look like this, if I can make it straight. There we go. So it would not be proportional because it does not go through 0, 0. When it is not proportional, there is no COP. The way I can check that is this. We would do whatever y is, we're going to divide it by x. 1 divided by 0 can't happen. If I try doing that on my calculator, 1 divided by 0 gives me an error. So that doesn't work. 6 divided by 1 would be 6. 11 divided by 2 would be 5.5. 16 divided by 3 would be 5.3 repeating. So these numbers right here are not consistent. So there is no COP. So little test question for you. Which of these equations would be proportional? So remember, if we add or subtract anything, then those are not proportional. So this is the only one that doesn't add or subtract. So that's my answer. Question 2, determine the COP. Okay, let's see. If it is proportional, I'm going to do y divided by x. Do 10 divided by 2, which is 5. 11 divided by 3, which is 3.6 repeating. 12 divided by 4, which is 3. 13 divided by 5, which would give me 2.6. These numbers are not the same, so there is no COP. And which of these would be proportional? Again, anytime we add or subtract. So this one is out of the question because it subtracts. This one is out because it adds. This one is out because it subtracts. This one has a negative, but I'm not adding or subtracting anything. So this one right here would be my correct answer. If you have any questions, please let your teacher know. Otherwise, have a great day. We'll see you soon.